Hello BJs and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, then welcome. So today I'm coming to y'all with a video on the time I was rejected from a modeling agency. I want to give a little story time because it's very interesting. I talk a little bit about it in my how I got started modeling, how I got my agency, which I will leave the link in the description below. I just want to kind of go more into depth because who wants to be rejected? Like, literally. Like, you're trying to chase after this dream and then they just crush it, to be honest. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Yeah, so let me take y'all back to 2015. I'm fresh out of Barbizon. I'm doing all these modeling competitions. And I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to go to the city, any city, to be on somebody's magazine, billboard, a newspaper, no, a website, whatever the case is. I just wanted to model, and I went and was searching for every agency I could find. It didn't even matter if it was in the U.S. or overseas. It didn't even matter. I just wanted to be on somebody's board, modeling board, right? So I found this agency that is for plus size only, so they say, but they're more so middle size. If you don't know what that is, that's from like 6 to 12-ish. So I ended up, and at the time I was a size 12. So I'm like, okay, let's just submit to them. They look really nice, kind of newer at the time as well. But they were in New York City, they were legit, and they're flourishing today. So I ended up putting in a submission, and the lady got back to me really, really fast. So me being so bright-eyed and like, oh my gosh, like I need to go up there right now. Like, she wants to sign me. What does this mean? You know, I'm looking up all this like forums, like YouTube videos, everything, but I couldn't find anything exactly on like the experience of trying to submit to an agency and that whole process. So I'm like so nervous. I begged my grandparents, which they are so supportive. I begged my grandparents to bring me up here to New York City for one night just to meet with them. So y'all keep in mind, we live in Southern Virginia in the Hampton Roads area, and we are going up to New York City to meet with this lady that honestly, like, she wasted my time. She wasted my complete time, my money, well, not my money, my grandparents' money. She wasted all of our, it was just terrible. It was a terrible time, that the fact that we did all that. But anyway, so we ended up going like maybe 2 weeks later or like a week later or something, and because I guess she was in DC and then she wanted to wait till she got back to New York City, and I'm like, all right, like I could easily just meet you in DC, but I didn't say that because, you know, I'm like fresh. I'm like trying to like, okay, whatever you say, I'll do it, blah, 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 you know, not in no freaky type way. I mean, like, you know, like, oh, you want me to meet you in DC? I mean, in New York City? Sure, I can make it. I'm available. Like, I'm not in no, like, casting couch type thing, y'all. So we go up there from Virginia to New York. We didn't get there till like 1 o'clock in the morning. I've never been to New York City in my life. My grandma hasn't either, but my grandpa had. So he was going off of like his experience, which was bad when he had actually went. And so it was just kind of like tensions were a little bit high, you know, because we had came up here just for not even a definite like yes yet of me actually getting signed to the agency. So we check into the hotel, which was in Queens, and the agency is in Manhattan. And so when we go to the of course we got in at 1 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, we're like, okay, we need to go to sleep, and because we're leaving the next day, and we also had to go see her the next day. So I'm ready. I take out all my stuff. You know, I'm ironing all my stuff, making sure I look good. Blah blah blah. And the morning comes, and we are on our way to go to Manhattan, which we drove to. Knowing us, because we were leaving literally right after the meeting, we left and went back home. There was no resting. There was no let's see the city. We went right back home, right? So, all right. So now it's time to meet with her. I'm walking in, got my heels on. You know, I put my heels on down in the lobby. I'm so nervous. When I got on the elevator, for some reason, I just didn't know where to go. I don't know why. I guess I was just so nervous and was like, I don't even know. And there was another lady on the elevator, and I was like, oh, are you going? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I'm trying to find where it is. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, so where are you going? Like, I really asked the girl, where are you going? She was like, a photo shoot. And had nothing to do with the agency. It was just like, why would I ask that girl where she's going? Like, that's how nervous I was, y'all. Like, I can't believe I did that. And I can't, looking back, like, oh my gosh. So I get on the floor, which is a floor that she was getting off of. As soon as it opens, it's like a hallway of just white, like, in the doors, like, if you're a model, then you would know this. When you get off the elevator, sometimes you go into the hallway. Sometimes doors to like studios be looking really sketch, but as soon as you go in there, it's like a nice studio. But they be looking real sketch, like you have to go into a dungeon or something. So I'm like, oh no, I'm not in the right place. So then I'm like, okay, let me just keep walking. They're in like the back of the hallway, so I'm walking with my heels on. The floor is like creaking. I'm like, oh my gosh, where am I going? I was so nervous. And I finally get to the door, and it looked like just a regular apartment door, right? So I'm like, do I knock? Do I just go in? Like, it's a company. Like, I should just walk in, right? And I knock and then walk in. And then I don't even see them to the right, because the way the door opened, it opens like this, and they were like over here. So I'm like looking in like, oh my gosh. And then I look over, and they're like, hi, may I help you? And I'm like, oh, I'm here to meet with blah, blah, blah. And it was a girl and a guy there, just a girl and a guy. And the guy did not approach me, did not speak, didn't even look up, didn't even know that I was in existence in his area. I don't know what his problem was, but the girl was like, okay, you can go sit down in the waiting room, which was literally the same room. So I'm like sitting over here with the couch facing this way. So I'm just like staring at them like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So she comes over and she's like, do you have a book? Y'all, I had like printed out pictures and then put it in like a photo album type book. It wasn't even like cute or nothing. And I like handed it to her. And then she's like, okay, do you mind if we keep some? I had printed out like so many pictures of each one just in case they wanted to keep multiple of them. I didn't even know. I was just ready. And I know I look like so like who is this girl? So she's like, all right, let's go outside in the hallway and take some pictures. So we go out there and take pictures, and she's like, first off, we're like in the hallway, and she's like, lean against this, and like there's a window right here. She's like, lean against this and like just stand there and like, you know, take regular digitals. But I didn't know what digitals were for real. Like, I had taken them before, but I know I was looking so stupid on that camera. When we were done, we went back into the agency. She's like, you can go sit down. She showed him to the guy. The guy was like, he was like, what is this? He didn't say that, but I know he wanted to. So he comes over and he's like, oh, what's your name? What's your age? You know, where you from? All this good stuff. And then he's like, well, look, yeah, we really like your look, but we just feel like you're too green, and you should really try to stay in your market. He was like, where are you from again? Virginia? Okay, well, you need to stay down there and just practice a little bit more before you before you come up here and give us another try, okay? And I'm like, but there's no market for plus size in Virginia, especially where I'm at. And he's like, well, you should start in a smaller market, like DC or something. And I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted to hear. So I'm like just soaking this all in, like, okay. Like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I just came up here and I have to go back down and tell my grandparents. Like, they weren't disappointed, but, you know, it's like, you thought you were coming up here to get signed. So, anyway, so I'm like, what does green mean? I didn't know what anything that he was saying meant. So, I left, went down to meet my grandparents, and I'm like, no, I didn't get it. Let's go home. I wasn't really that mad or sad because I knew that I was going to keep trying, and that one no didn't mean that I couldn't be a model ever. But I just had a lot of questions. Like, they asked me, to come all the way up here just to say that I'm too fresh. They could have asked me to send more pictures to tell that if they really wanted that. Like, I didn't have to come all the way up to New York City for them to tell me that I was a new model. Of course I was a new model. They could have already asked me my experience. That's where I had the problem at. The good thing about it, though, was that I didn't get signed to an agency that I didn't necessarily want to be signed to, because if they had that attitude towards me, then they weren't going to find me work. I found my agency because that's where I was supposed to be, and them rejecting me meant that I was able to go on to a better agency for me personally. And I was signed to my agency within the next couple of months. So yeah, I didn't let that one rejection, that one waste of my time get to my head and tell me that I wasn't supposed to be a model. Okay, guys, that wraps up my story time. If you like this story and you thought it was funny, let me know by leaving a comment, or like a like or something like that. Anyways, I will see you guys next video.